Hello, don't worry, I'm not going to do another video about a bowl of stones and delightful shapes and textures and colours. And I just wanted to start off here because when I did this video about this bowl of delights, I realised that I did take for granted some of the things that I'd made and didn't really want to share them because I just thought, well, it's too obvious. Anybody would have done that, and maybe people won't have done it, and maybe they'll appreciate a little bit of inspiration. So I'm just gone back to looking at my lovely textural knitted cushions, which I have to come down here. I created because using the yarns that I found in various charity shops, and I would collect bits, little bits. It's amazing what you could find in charity shops, just like little tiny bits of a bag full of little bits, odds and ends of yarn. And I always collect the ones that were of kind of natural shades, nothing garish or sort of lurid, and particularly things that had kind of nubbles. I love the word nubbles and bobbles and things that would be suggestive, and kind of tufts that could be, there's a tuft, there's a green tuft there. So things that could be pulled and kind of made to look like a piece of interesting moss, or in this case like a pebbly ground, which this one is mostly pebbly, kind of nubbly. Pebbly nubbly, isn't that just wonderful? Anyway, I like the colours of this one. They're not particularly, all of them are particularly naturalistic. I mean, there are colours that probably wouldn't be found together in nature, but it's the textures as well that just make this a charming delight to me. And these are both cushions, but they could be anything. They could be rugs. There is, in the other room there is a massive rug made of knitted, because I can only knit squares. I have tried other things, but they have not been very successful. And I can't even knit that well at all now because of my hands, but knitted squares. And then if you make enough knitted squares in enough different sorts of textures and you put them together, oh, I may as well just try and show you, just swing around here a minute, and then you'll get something. Focus. This is massive, and it would need dry cleaning because it's been walked on too much, but this is just full of different textures and colours, and yes. So that, or it can be a throw. It can be a throw on a sofa. It wasn't really meant to be a mat. I just wanted to cover up as much as my parents' brown expanse of carpet as I possibly could. And now we're going to just quickly swing by there again, just so I can focus on that for a moment. I found two more things. I don't think that I have ever made a video about them, and this is going to be very short, but it is the same principle. There are things that I take for granted that I have around me, that if I don't show them, then nobody will ever. It might be one person. Again, it's always that one person for me. that one person that thinks, wow, I'd really like to do that, and I hadn't thought of it. So let's hang up here. These don't normally hang here, but it's a convenient place for me to do this filming. Now they look a bit like a hot mess when you look at them like that. This is partly because they are old now and they have been dragged from pillar to post, as it were. I don't know where these pillars and posts are, but anyway, the mythical pillars and posts, they have been in storage, they have been in various different homes, and they have not been restored as they should have been after such travails in their lives. So what the idea of these was, they're round canvases. They were painted initially with kind of speckles, flicked speckles of paint to give a kind, you can see a little bit of it through there. Lots of sort of metallic and textural things. What I was aiming for was this, a theme of the sea or a riverbed, okay? Now, from a distance now, they look quite sad and worn, and they need a lot of help because loads of bits have fallen off and they've all got tangled up. But if you go close into them, they become what they were meant to be. Like stones in a riverbed, and there's all this metallic thread. And the colours again are very, very beautiful, and it's how that I spent ages It might just look like you threw these down onto the canvas and sewed them on with a bit of thread, but it wasn't. It was a case of blending the colours and the textures and the shapes, and then putting these lovely threads in to be like reed under the water. Here you can see that. If I show you from a distance again, you're just going to think it just does not do anything for you at all. But when you get close in, you can see how these become a little world of underwater charms, as it were, with things kind of shimmering things and things with texture. They're buttons that I've collected. Again, charity shops, tins of buttons, bags of buttons. They became very, very hard to find for a few years because it became a thing to collect old buttons. On eBay, the prices of tins of buttons went very high. But I had been collecting these for a long time and then was waiting for the purpose for them. And that's what this was, amongst other things. And again, you might just think this is not something I would want to have hanging on my wall, but you could use this kind of theme on anything. You wouldn't have to necessarily sew things onto the canvas. You could just stick them. I'm thinking of those kind of outsider art houses where people just start sticking shells and things all over their houses and everything until they're just completely covered. There's some wonderful videos. Jarvis Cocker did a series about outsider art ages ago, and it seems to be a real thing with a lot of people that they just keep sticking things all over their houses. That isn't really what I'm doing here, but you could use this principle on anything, a box or a bag or a cushion, anything at all. It just becomes something very interesting to look at if it's done with care. It's not just bunged together. The items, there's beads here as well. Anything that looked like a shiny pebble or a textural stone or something with a colour that suggested water, or there's lots of metallics. There's those lovely shiny kind of sea green threads running through it. So again, there's glass buttons with sparkle. It's like a world of treasures, this, but it's not in its best condition. And then it has its companion down here, which I feel is slightly less in good shape than the one above it, because lots of the threads are dangling down and it would need restoration. But the point of this video, which is not a long video, is just to show you another idea. I'm going to have to get down from get up rather from my crouched position now, because this one is not so good to look at, because more has fallen off it and it has not weathered the tests of time that well. I think this must be about 10 years old, but that's not the point. The point is it has been oh, that was so easy to stand up again. It has been traversed around. Is that a word? Yes, it is. Okay. I'm determined not to lose any words in this video, because normally, as I have spoken before about my eloquence, my normal eloquence, when I am quite capable of, I love words, I find words all the time, I can speak quite fluently, then I switch on a camera and things just vanish. The other day I lost the word petrified when I was doing a video, and then after that I lost the word thumbnail, which, yeah, I found them now, but you know, it's when the camera's on, it doesn't seem to work. Anyway, getting back to this, it might just give you an idea about the sorts of things to watch out for and collate until you can think of a way of combining them that will please you, because it doesn't have to please anybody else. I think I only met one other person who ever saw these who could understand and really get into what I was doing, because if you just look at them from a distance, you think, why are those circular messes hanging on the wall? But they're not. They're full. Look at those lovely shiny threads. Everything had a purpose here. It's just that it's become a little bit bald, and when it was full and when all the threads were wrapped in a particular way, it made something really shimmery and very evocative. And there are areas of it now that are still really, please focus, come on, there's buttons here. Some of them are transparent and then other buttons show through them, and it's about layering and contrasting and doing all of those things. And if you do it well and it's not just a jumble, there's some very, very pearlescent things, silver metallic discs. Oh no, really? That's just, don't do that please. That's my phone. Sorry, that doesn't normally do that. It was reminding me of something because it does that occasionally. Anyway, it's quite a pleasant little tune, wasn't it? Coming from my old Nokia. So yes, lots of texture. You can even use, there's a fabric button just there. You can see it's just, there's a lovely green sort of pearly bead. Nothing too obvious, nothing too, again, garish or kind of I don't like things that are too blingy. That word probably went out with the arc, as my mum used to say. But I don't want things that are I want things that are subtle, and yet they can be shiny but not too shiny. They just need to have that sort of old, like the sea or the river has washed them into some sort of, it's actually a piece of sea glass in there, washed them and bumped them and taken the just so there's not too much glitz to it. I like the idea of things being weathered, or just the thought that, look at that lovely kind of, imagine that something that evokes the water flowing over it. And there, these are very ordinary buttons, but if you can just see the way the light catches them, and hope that didn't make you dizzy. There are things that I wouldn't do with this one if I did it again. I wouldn't put that great big button there, for instance. But I think I'd have a lot more, like these little areas here where it's very densely packed. But I think that gives, if you can bear me moving it around, it does give it, you kind of get a lovely effect when it's like the light is catching it and it's swirling around. And then copper always goes well with that duck egg blue. And then you have got the background showing through is a kind of, oh come on, sort of metallic. I was going to do this flat on the floor and I thought, well no, they do hang, and although they don't hang here, this is where I hung the other video things with the driftwood danglies. I'm not going to look at that other one underneath so much because I think you're getting the gist. In fact, I just look at that little bit there because that is rather nice. Very time consuming, but it's all, you can get lost in it because it's a world. You're actually creating a riverbed or something. Look at that lovely, this one here. There. Where are you? That one. That's a very old button, but it's just gorgeous. Sparkle but not too much. You don't want something that's just going to look tacky. I don't think you could accuse this of looking tacky as such, but it is in need, this one is in need of repair. But again, this has been a video about an idea that you could expand, explore, translate into your own thing, but it's about the colours, the textures and the shapes and the overall feel that you're trying to get in this case. I think this was more riverbed stones than the sea. It's just absolutely, there's just so many things, and then if you look at it like that, you can see the threads coming out of it like reed. Beautiful metallic pink thread there, which goes so well with the peaches and the duck eggs and the sea greens. You have to pick a theme really, and this lovely. I probably said the word lovely, I don't know how many times, but it's lovely. It's really nice to look at this as well with kind of eyes that are seeing it again, because I can remember doing this. I can remember my best friend at the time, and who was sitting with me, and I was about to move house, I think, in about 48 hours, and I was sitting on the floor amongst all this packing, and she was watching me with her mouth open as I was frantically sewing the last bits on this, and I just had to, I was driven to do it. That's just how art gets you sometimes. It's like, but you need to be doing this, Poppy. No, I need to be doing this. You know, I'll stay up all night. I've got to finish it off. It has to come with me finished, and it did. But it was kind of crazily obsessive, because you just think that just one more bit, and it will be perfect. One more bit. That thread needs to go there. If I don't do it now, I'll forget. And that's when you lose time, and you are embroiled in the thing that you are meant to be doing, and you are creating as the creator. You are doing the thing you came here to do, even if nobody else appreciates it. Even if one person appreciates it, you have created for yourself, and hopefully for others that will understand, if they get to see it, what you have attempted to do or have succeeded in doing. Then that's it. Sometimes things can just be purely for you, though. It doesn't matter. When a flower opens, it is opening for the bee, but it is opening with the sense that nobody's going to admire it. It just does it because it has to, and because it can, and that's what it does. And sometimes creation is like that. Sometimes it is for many, and sometimes it is just because. And I hope that has given you something else to... Let's have a little bit more down here. Something else to think about and consider with collecting, collating, and all of this is secondhand. None of it is, except for the canvases, which didn't, they were just like sort of basic, very basic round canvases, but the rest of it is completely reclaimed, recycled, upcycled, whatever you want to call it. Made things, the bagpuss thing again, bringing lovely things to you and making them into something else, or telling a different story with them. And so I have spoken for 17 minutes. I did not mean to. Another point of this video, and I might make another one after this that's very short, and I mean that, very short, is that there will be other videos coming up soon that I would really appreciate it if you would look at, because if you don't, you won't know what's going on with me. Cryptic Poppy leaving you now anyway, so I would appreciate it if you would... I'm still having that... Well, that was nice. It looks lovely when you blow on it. Yeah, still that thing where my part 1 videos get far less views than my part 2 videos, and if the ones that are coming up, if you don't watch part 1, you're going to wonder what on earth is going on. I mean, seriously, really are going to wonder what is going on. So that's me, over and out. It's been lovely sharing this with you, and I think I have finally come to the end of the things I can share with you, and hopefully there was something in all of that that you can take with you on your own journey, creative journey. Right, I'm fading into oblivion, aren't I? Lots of love, stay free for all our relations as ever.